Hello everyone. Nowadays we all have learned to use these new LLM tools for our day-to-day tasks, like using ChatGPT to make a assignment, whether it be your college homework, or make an email template or draft an email using ChatGPT or whether Gemini, anything. But have you ever wondered how great it would be if you were able to use these tools in your software as well? So if you could write some code that can also use the power of these large language models, you could really make a lot of great stuff, right? So today we are going to learn exactly that. So first of all, whenever we want to use something like ChatGPT, we come to their website and then write the prompt over here. But our code cannot do that, right? So for being able to use the power of ChatGPT or any other large language model in our code, we have to get the response through a API endpoint where we can send our prompt to the API gateway and then get the response from the LLM. We can also use locally hosted large language models on our computers for using them in our own software, but that's a topic for another video. So without further ado, let's get started. So first of all, you'll need to create your own API key. So today for the example in this video, we are going to use the Gemini's free API key. So quickly go ahead and head to Google AI Studio. You'll need to sign in with a Google account if you haven't already. Click on Get API Key, and then you can click on Create API Key over here. I have already done that, and my API key is showing over here. So once you have done that, make sure to copy and paste that API key somewhere secure, as you will not be able to see that again. So it's always a good habit to create a .env file with your API key in it. So you can call that environment variable a Google API key and then set your API key to that environment variable in a .env file, so that we won't have to hard code the API key in the main file itself. So let's get straight to the coding part. So whenever creating any new project in Python, it's always a good idea to create a new virtual environment so as to not mess up the dependencies on your whole global system. So for that, you can go ahead and open a terminal. The shortcut for that is Control Shift tilde. So you can also just go to view over here and then click on this terminal over here. So what you can write is, you'll need the venv package from Python. So you can install that if you don't have already. So you can say pip install venv, but I have already done that. So I'll go ahead and write python m venv.venv. So this will create a virtual environment called .venv in this folder. So all the packages that I use in this project would not affect my global Python installation. And we can click yes over here. So VS Code will automatically activate the environment for us. Otherwise, you could have done that by running the activate command in the bin folder of the venv. So then you could just kill this terminal and open a new one, and it shows you the message that the virtual environment was successfully activated, right? So for using the power of large language models in our code, we can also directly just use the Google's generative AI package. But since we are learning about LangChain, let's go ahead and use that. So when using LangChain, you can create a chain of your prompt, your large language model, and a a parser, so that it's easier to integrate in your overall code. So let's quickly go ahead and install the packages that we'll need. So first of all, you will need the LangChain package and the langchain-google-genai, since we are using the Gemini API key. Next, we will also need the Google Generative AI's package to be able to get the model into our LangChain. I will be putting these package names and these commands in the description as well, so don't worry. Okay, so now that we have this over here, let's just get some more space. So one more package that we will need is the .env package, python-dotenv. So what this package does is you can use this package to easily use .env files in your project. You'll see that just in a second. So now what we do is if we import this package, so from .env import load.env and find.env, and then if we also import os. So now if we run the command find.env, and then we also give the output to load.env, this one over here. What this does is this will find a .env file in our project and it will load it into this file. So now if we try to print os.environ.get the Google API key, we should be able to get this in our project. See, we were able to print the API key. So great, now we have the API key in our file and we have also installed all the dependencies that we needed. So now let's go ahead and make a chain. Okay, so as I said earlier, for making a chain you need three things. First, a large language model that will process the prompt and give you the output. A prompt, and you will also need a output parser. So what the output parser actually does is it just converts the output into a more friendlier format for using in your code, whether it be a string or even a JSON. So let's go ahead and do that. So first of all, let's import all those three things. So import. So for the prompt, you will import it from the LangChain core. Prompt template. So this is the prompt. Then from we import the string output parser. This is the simplest of the output parsers. We'll also have a look at the JSON one at the last. And finally for the model, chat Google Generative AI. Right, so after we have imported all these three things, let's go ahead and create an instance for all of those. So for the prompt, we'll just use a very simple prompt for now. So rom prompt equals to prompt template dot from template. So we use the from template method from the prompt template to create a simple prompt which takes in a string, and the string will be our prompt. So let's just ask it, is HTML a programming language? Correct. So this is a very simple prompt we are using just for testing. In the prompt you can also add some placeholders in which you can fill values later if you want to take input from the user, but we'll see that in a future video. For now, let's go ahead and make a LLM. So LLM equals to chat Google Generative AI and model. Let's use the Gemini Pro, which has a free quota. And finally, let's make the output parser. It's a string output parser. So in LangChain, to make a chain, what you do is you use the pipe notation to put the things together. So our chain, let's call it my chain, would be the prompt, then the LLM, and then the output parser. So this prompt would go into this LLM and its output would go into the output parser. So what we do is so actually instead of hard coding, let's also see how we can use placeholders in this. So it's very simple. You use the placeholders in curly brackets notation. So over here you can write question, and then in the print you can call the invoke method of the chain, and then you just have to pass it a dictionary of all the placeholders that were there. So question was a placeholder and the question was correct. So as you can see, when after understanding the concepts, the overall code is not very large. But even with this simple code and using these libraries, you can integrate the power of these language models into your own software. So let's go ahead and run this. Actually, you'll have to get this a little, you have to get this over here. So this load.env and find.env should be at the top of the file. Okay, so Gemini Pro is not actually supported in the free version of the API. So let's go ahead and see what we can use actually. So Gemini 2.5 Flash is available. So as we can see, here's our answer. So it says that no, HTML is not a markup language. So this is just the opinion of the large language model. But you saw how easy it is to use LangChain to be able to use large language models in your own code. So you can build a lot of stuff from this, like making a simple chatbot for your own website, or maybe using it to parse a CSV and extract some useful information from that. So whatever you want to use it for. In the next video, we'll see how we can use more complex prompts, and also see how we can use the JSON output parser to get the output in a JSON format. So that's all for today, and thanks for watching.